everyone, my name is Miranda, and today I am here to give my wrap-up thoughts kind of on Season 1 of The Runaways, which just finished up last week. And I have to say, it took me a little while to get into this show. I got into the series around like December-ish after a few episodes had started, but it was just like I caught up within like 2 weeks, and then I had to wait for all the other ones. So yeah, it took me a while, and that was basically just because I was unsure of how this was going to be. I really do love the Runaway comics, but I feel like the old ones from 2005 are a bit dated now. You know, it was kind of flying under the radar in terms of like, you know, Spider-Man and Thor and the Punisher and the Defenders. Like, it just seemed like it was like just this thing that Marvel's like, oh yeah, we're doing this too. So I was unsure, but once I started it, I absolutely fell in love with it. I honestly think it's my favorite Marvel production of the year, like including the movies, including the other TV shows. Like, I think Runaways is it for me because it feels unique enough to what it's doing compared to all other things in superhero genres actually in general right now, because it's about these teenagers and it's about their problems and their focus and just them. Like, they're the main thing. It's not about coming into these powers and wanting to save the world. It's not about having these powers and trying to deal with them that you've had for a while. It's very like kind of small and just into this kind of protecting each other and this group you have and this group you make and how you make your own family. And I think it just feels super unique. It feels like kind of like, and again, this makes sense because of who the creator is. I think it's the creator of the OC. Yes, the OC. It feels like the OC with superpowers, you know? Like, it feels like this teen drama with superpowers on top of it, but in a really amazing way. Like, I just think you thought it would be like too angsty and too like, I'm a teenager, blah, 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 but like, their problems are so realistic, and also like they're never melodramatic about it. It's like, yeah, this is a problem that you should be worried about, and I love that they treat it that way. And I think for Season 1, I know what a lot of people were upset about was it took them so long to run away, but I was actually okay with it because I think ending Season 1 in the place where they run away is such like a genius no-brainer idea. Like, it sets up all that's happened this season, it ends it on a very poignant note, and then it starts Season 2 on the right foot of like, okay, this world that we've adjusted you to and we've introduced you to is now going to shift completely. And the things they did that I liked more in the show than in the comics, like I liked how they kind of tried to figure out what was happening before running away. Like, they tried to kind of keep it under key and, you know, figure out other ways than running away from their parents, and I feel like that was definitely more realistic than in the comic books where they just like ran away all of a sudden. And I think that's like my main thing is what I'm so okay with the series is it feels like an updated version of Runaways. So like, they're definitely being conscientious of the source material, and kind of, I think it's kind of like they'll get there eventually. Like, I feel like it's one of those things where the end goal is the same, but the path they take there is going to be different. And if it's like what this season was like, I'm totally okay with that, because I think it was very interesting to see not only the kids and how they had to kind of come back together after Amy's death. And Amy, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Amy doesn't exist in the comic book. So it was cool that it was like they have to have this new thing that brings them back together and kind of unites them as a family. And then it was also cool, I know people got annoyed with how much of the focus was on the parents, and I did too at some points, but I feel like I like the idea of the parents being not completely evil people. Like, I know that when they started Runaways, that was kind of the thing of like, what if your mentor, this person that's supposed to guide you into life, isn't a good person? But I feel like that's kind of too cut and dry almost for this climate nowadays. So I like the idea of like, these kids are innocent and they are people who haven't had to see the lesson that sometimes the people you love, and sometimes as you grow older, you have to compromise your morals for certain things, and you have to do things you thought you'd never do when you were younger because everything is so black and white then. And that's not saying what the parents are doing is right, but I just like how they present it in a way that like the parents don't like doing this, but it's kind of seeing that your heroes, these people that raise you, they're not perfect people. And I feel like obviously it's a big way to see it. Like, it's not like they're like speeding or anything. I think maybe that's what we're gonna get to see in Season 2 is the kids starting to maybe understand more where their parents are coming from, in that like they're gonna have to start doing things that they don't think are right, but like they're gonna have to do them to survive, to keep their parents away, like things like that. So I think this show did especially well with playing with our expectations, which is something I think is extremely hard to do when you're basing it on a source material that's been out for 10 plus years and anyone can just read it or look it up online, because it was like, not only did they change things I felt like that still felt like, okay, this works, like how they made the parents not so inherently evil, but they also worked with like making the parents that you thought were bad, like were better than you thought, and the parents that you thought were good were worse than you thought. Specifically, freaking Frank. I hate Frank. Like, I liked him in the beginning, I felt bad for the dude, but you realize, like, he's one that is, like, the actual one that's, like, Jonah's, like, BFF and will do anything for Jonah. Like, I was so pissed when Karolina was healing and Leslie was right there with her and Frank was like, oh yeah, like, she's my daughter, blah, 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 I'm gonna protect her. And then Jonah's like, alright, you guys need to leave. And Leslie was like, we're not leaving. And Frank was like, it's okay, honey, let's go. And just, like, leaves immediately. I was like, Frank, that's the girl that you just said is your daughter. You've raised her as your daughter and you're gonna protect her. So I feel like he is just like, I don't know. And then he didn't even explain properly, like, why he told Jonah what Karolina had told him and how he kind of betrayed all of them, betrayed the parents, you know, everything like that. Like, I feel like I was just like, what the frick? But then also, like, I like it because it's taking this, like, thing that, like, the audience and the kids all thought, like, okay, he's the good one, like, he's the one that's clueless about this all, and it turned that into, like, he cares about Karolina, but he also cares about himself very much, and power, I guess, is what it looked like. And it also looked, I wasn't sure if, like, Jonah's gonna use Frank to get Victor back, because he was like, we need a life essence, and then, like, Frank was in the room, and I was like, oh, are you gonna use Frank? But, like, I just like the idea that, like, even the people that you think are good, because I think, like, they went into this show knowing that everyone who watched this show is gonna know those parents aren't good, like, they're bad, because we've read the comics, we've seen the trailer. And they took this one guy, Frank, and we're like, okay, this is like a new, like, we're gonna make him different. People are gonna be like, oh, he's just the oblivious doof. And you really started to be like, okay, he's the one we can trust, even if he's not the brightest bulb. And then they flipped it at the end, and that, like, the parents were trying to protect their kids and keep Jonah away from them, and Frank's the one that actually went to Jonah after the kids had trusted him. And if you're like me, I was just like, Frank, we trusted you. We were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. I think this is going to be, like, how they also do the mole, is that, like, they know we're all expecting, I don't want to ruin who the mole is, but, like, there's a character that's a mole, and we're all expecting him to be the mole, but I feel like they could potentially play with that, and that he will be the mole, but it's going to come out in a different way, obviously, because it seems like the parents that you would be the mole too aren't as bad. They're not working specifically for Jonah. So I'm really interested. I did love the characterizations of the parents too. Were so funny. Like Stacy and Dale. I friggin' love Stacy. It took me a while, but when she was like, no shit, Jonah's been playing us, I was like, thank you, Stacy. I see the Gert in you. I love you. But I just really, really love this season. I was so impressed with all the actors. The kid teens especially were so, so great. Like, I just loved the personalities they brought. I love the ships that we got out of this. Gertchase were obviously amazing. I love them from the comic books. And then Nico and Karolina were so, like, such an unexpected surprise. I really didn't think that we were going to get them developed as much as we did, and I really hope that sticks for season 2 because I love them a lot. I think they're really, really great together. Just really hoping that we can find some happiness in these darker times of being on their own, and I'm really just excited to see what it's going to be like when they're on the run. I feel like it's going to be more about the kids now, and I love the closing scene when Molly was like, what do we do now? And Alex was like, we run, and then they're literally all just running away because that's the only option they have left. I think this was just such a surprise for me how great it was. And even things that I was unsure of, like Chase, I was unsure of his characterization in the beginning because he was like this popular jock. Like, I came to love them because it all worked so well together. So I'm super excited for season 2. It's going to be 13 episodes, which is 3 more than we got this season. And if you have seen The Runaways, please feel free to leave your thoughts about it down below in the comments. Also, make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel down below too, because I will make all sorts of new videos. And I will see you guys next time. Bye!